I saw a creator on this app who made an absolutely amazing point. And I think black folks in particular need to take heed. He said that protest is not a black sport. And that is absolutely correct. Let me explain to you how this is absolutely relevant. On Saturday, I went out to work out. I went out to what was supposed to be this hands-off march. I was working out, and I said that to you guys in the video. But what I saw was a police presence, but it was not the kind of police presence that I would have seen were it a large and significant and concentrated number of black folks who they projected or expected to be out there. Black folks, if they would have been out there, would have experienced a significantly different police presence. I am showing now here video of that police presence. It was not as hard, it was not harsh. It looked like a marathon where certain lanes and highways and roads were blocked off to ensure that the people passed through running and jogging and on their bikes. It was not the kind of presence that we would have experienced were we out there. Basketball is a black sport. Football is a black sport. Baseball to a certain extent, because there are still some black players in baseball. Hockey, we don't play hockey. As a matter of fact, Tiger Woods is not black. He's not our black. He's not like us. So even golf is not our sport. Tennis, you're starting to see a large number of blacks. The winners, the most effective, the champions in tennis are black. But by and large, tennis is not a black sport. We know the sports that we can play. We are in track and field. We are in certain areas of track and field, let me say it that way. We are not in long marathons. We're in sprints. Our bodies are made differently. Protesting, going out there and doing that kind of thing, that's not our sport. So what we need to do is be much more strategic in our approach. We cannot go out there and be cannon fodder. We have to learn that we have to participate in the sport that we're able to do it. Our sport is boycotting, cognitive boycotting, using our dollars where they need to be used, not on businesses that don't support us. Target is the perfect example of how we could use our sport, how we could use our bodies, how we could use our talents to get what we want.
Oh, not you calling me girl.
It very much so is about the fact that had it been black and brown bodies out there on the front lines marching out in them streets, that we would have seen a very different outcome, as opposed to what it was, Mima and Papa out there marching because they're losing their 401ks in retirement. And that is part of the reason why it needs to be understood that black and brown people stayed home. Because let's talk about the fact that for the last few centuries, it's been black people leading the cause, leading the way, leading the marches, leading the protests, leading for change. And while some white people did in fact help and stand beside and march along, it's never been the white folk leading the way. It's never been the white bodies put in the forefront where they can be in a dangerous situation. And as we saw, the danger was nowhere to be found. Where was the police presence? Where's the SWAT team? Where was the tear gas? Where was the riot gear? Where? To not go without mentioning that had it been black and brown people out on those streets, we would have seen the violence escalate. We would have seen the police presence outnumber us. And the violence did not take place because the instigators, namely the police, were not there. Because they don't see white people as a threat the same way they see us as an imminent threat just because the color of our skin is different from theirs. It definitely is about that. That's the point. You need to be reminded, because otherwise, what are you marching for? I want to be reminded of the fact that this country has been divided since its inception. Then what are you fighting for? What are you marching for? What are you protesting for? Yourself. You sitting up here talking about something, this was our chance to come together. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, straight, LGBT, Christian, atheist. This is about the little guys coming together to take down the shits. No. No, Bookie. No, that's not what this is about. This is about us taking a well-deserved rest and staying in a safe space while y'all do the work that's on you to dismantle white Christian nationalism, right? Because it is the white, the Christian, the male, and the cis-hetero controlling the rest of us, while the cis-het Christian white women enable, coddle, raise, and benefit from it. This was not about us coming together as the little guys. This is about white people undoing and dismantling the very thing that they created and inherited. The very thing that they benefit from inherently just for being born white. We cannot dismantle something we did not create and do not benefit from. That is on y'all. So many of y'all actually showed the fuck up. And it was a big deal that so many of us sat the fuck down, as we should, because we should not be leading this. We are not the ones that have to make all the change. Y'all have to make it, even if that means talking to Mima and Papa about their mentality of how they see colored folk. Even if that means saying something to the person you work with, your coworker who thinks it's funny to make racist jokes. Even if that means putting your money into black businesses and not buying from white corporations or Christian nationalists. Even if that means getting up here and telling white people about themselves. That is your job. It is your job to dismantle racism, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, ableism, misogynoir, all the things, not ours. And yeah, obviously by your comment, you do need to be made aware and reminded. Because if you are not fighting to dismantle white supremacy and racism and white Christian nationalism, what are you fighting for? What are you marching for? If you marching was centered around yourself and how these things are now affecting you, you might as well have stayed your ass home. Because what are you accomplishing? What are you accomplishing? If you only now care because it's affecting you, you might want to rethink your motives. You might want to rethink your entire outlook and your ideals. This country has been divided since day one. And black and brown people have always stood alone against Christian white nationalism. For the record, white straight Christian people are not oppressed. Okay?
There are lessons in life that are meant to be learned the hard way. And then there's this woman. Stand up, they kill people. I have so many questions and a few thoughts. Let's start with, what part of stay your black ass at home didn't you understand? Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of white people. You thought they weren't going to notice your black ass? The only black person out there, and who gets arrested? White people. Before this protest took place, y'all was making videos. If our black brothers and sisters show up, we're going to be shields. We're going to be human shields. We're not going to let them touch our brothers and sisters. Is the human shield in the room with us? Because not only did you allow that to happen, you allowed this to happen. Her human shield must have been on break too. Can y'all stop sending me videos from this performative Saturday walkabout? Because that's all it was. White folks, when y'all really serious, when you get really angry, do this shit on a weekday. Nothing worth having was ever gained from having a protest on a Saturday. The whole point of a protest is to disrupt business, is to disrupt their money, is to disrupt their way of life. Y'all didn't disrupt shit. Keep patting yourselves on the back and telling yourselves you did something.
I just saw a video of a white woman standing in the middle of the road here in Dallas during the protest because the police blocked off the road for them because the crowd was so big. I know, but that one kind of felt like a slap in the face, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not wishing anything on anybody, but in 2020, when we were protesting, I went to a protest where you literally could not set foot on the road without being arrested. As soon as you put your foot on the gravel, they jumped on you, arrested you, and put you in a truck they had sitting there with all the people that were arrested. Again, we know it's just, damn, to see it so, I did not expect this. I did not expect to be so angry about this. They really hate us. God damn. To go so far as to pretend, like, again, I think that's a good thing. It's just something exclusively experienced by white people. So, I'm gonna have to go process this. But yeah, that one stung.
While I was listening to her video, it reminded me of this picture. This picture right here. A black woman in a dress walking on the street. And this is the response they gave her. Let's not forget how the police respond when black people are in the streets. We didn't see any of that yesterday. I didn't see any police officers with shields. Did you? Nor were they shooting tear gas at the crowd. Just look at the police presence. At a peaceful protest, this is what we get when we go out there. And yesterday, barely see any police. Where's the police? These people weren't met with violence. We are, even when we are peaceful. This is why the black community is saying that they're trying to bait us into the streets, because they want to enact violence on us so that he can declare martial law, so that he can become king. Us sitting home is not only helping the black community rest, but it's also saving America. Even when we don't do anything, we still help America. But man, seeing all those protests yesterday, what was it, like 1,400? Not be met with the same police force and violence does make black people go, see, y'all motherfuckers hate us. Y'all do. We know this. But seeing it, it's a whole different vibe. But y'all keep it up. And like I said in my previous videos, protest is just to bring awareness to the situation. Use the other tools that you were taught. Remember, diversity, equal power. We can change the world when we work together and protect black women. Until next time.
Hello, and welcome to another video. Please don't forget giving a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps my channel to grow, and it helps other people to find my content and my video. And stay towards the end, because I'm going to give you my opinion of what I think about the protests in April 5th and why they didn't turn violent, okay? So stay towards the end.
I just watched a very well-intended video with this beautiful sister and her dad speaking about black people wanting to stay out of, not be part of this march. And I get where they're coming from in terms of we can't pull ourselves out of it because we are the ones who suffer most from all of these things. But here's the thing, though. We can't continue to do it the way our forefathers did it, and that's the point. Being in the streets doesn't work for black people. We are already categorized in a certain way. If you look at yesterday, with all of the people that were out, over 5 million, there were no police. There were no tear gas. None of that. In fact, there was a video shared by another content creator where cops said they analyzed the situation. I can't remember in which state. And they know it's going to be peaceful. There was no agitation from the cops. We have to work smart and not hard. We, the people of color, specifically black people in these United States, we are consumers. We spend over $300 billion a year in this country. And most of these brands, most of these companies, do not even want us to work for them, do not want us in their stores, do not want us wearing their clothes. So we fight smart. We use our dollar. There are many ways to skin a cat. There are many ways to protest. So we don't have to be walking in the streets. We don't have to be holding up a sign. We just have to hold back on spending. But I appreciate the lesson, and I appreciate where her father was coming from. But we changed the way we do it. When we say we're not going in them streets, it doesn't mean we're giving up. It doesn't mean we're saying we're not partaking, we're not participating. We are going to hold those people up that were marching yesterday. We're going to share the videos. We are going to give a thumbs up. We are going to do everything we can to encourage, because we know they will most likely be listened to in terms of marching, in terms of speaking, more than we would. So we do it differently. There are many ways to break down the groups of who's doing what. Our job as the main consumers in this United States is to hold back our dollars.
I want to use the minority of people that are attacking me over being upset about the difference between the 2020 protest and yesterday as an opportunity to talk about the emotional impact of racism, but particularly from my point of view. But before,
just a wee bit more about the protests that were held yesterday. I saw some news coverage and I kept hearing the same sentiment that, oh my God, the protests were so peaceful. Oh my God, they were so peaceful. No violence. What are you trying to say? Say it. Say it with your whole chest. But I can tell you what you want to say and why you shouldn't say it. The color of my skin, this brown melanated skin, elicits fear, irrational thoughts, phobias, judgment, criticisms. You already look at me and people that look like me and assume things about us. We're inherently violent and we're always up to no good. So if we black people have showed up in mass number like yesterday, automatically there's police. There's no conversation to be had. The police are coming. And they're going to over-police and provoke. So then something that we wanted to be peaceful may not be peaceful because you won't let it. We want to be peaceful. But sometimes, just because the color of this skin, people won't let us be. So I don't want to hear anything about it being peaceful. I've been protesting since I was a young girl with my mother. I've never been a part of a rally or a protest that was violent. Ever. So just understand what you're saying or not saying. We want it to be peaceful. Let us go out there in mass number and protest peacefully without you sending police our way because you're just so threatened by this, right? Okay, that's it.
Absolutely not. This cracked me up. Absolutely the fuck not. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. This is a perfect opportunity for y'all to learn what we actually sacrifice when we go in the streets to protest. It's not just our life and limb. It's assuming we make it through the situation, the bail system. This is also part of the strategy. You didn't know that? It's communities coming together, organizations coming together to pool money for bail for the droves of people that they know will get arrested. This is all part of the process. Losing your job because they kept you in jail too long. Knowing who's going to watch your kids while you locked up. This all a part of the sacrifice, boo-boo. And it's more likely that you as a white person have access to funds in this country. So do us all a favor and don't be asking no more black or brown people to bail you and your friends out for protesting an administration that y'all voted in. The white supremacy is diabolical. You see how insidious that shit is? They tear shit down, burn it to the ground, take 400 years to protest, and then they want us to bail them out. Have you lost your mind? Respectfully, it's no beef. This was just a wild take. Y'all tell me what you think.
All right, so I saw the April 5th protest. A lot of people out, really good. Very happy that it didn't look like the police did too much. I heard about some instances, but overall, it was pretty good. But I also do want to acknowledge that it was very telling that the police weren't wearing riot gear. They weren't antagonizing protesters. Again, I'm very happy that nothing happened, but I think that this is just really the stark difference between a majority white protest versus majority black protest, and how the police prepare accordingly, and how the government prepares accordingly, how cities prepare accordingly. it's just disappointing that whenever black people want to protest things, the police response is starkly different. And the way that they treat us is really just truly inhumane. And you can see that these protests are a prime example of that. With a majority white protest, they are very, very calm, very respectful. But whenever it's black people, they love to use any sort of excuse to justify their violence. And I want to reiterate that I do like the overall intent of these protests. But I have to admit that I am disappointed as a black American in this country.
I know people was protesting for real yesterday. You know, it didn't really involve me, so maybe I'm mind my business anyway. But I'm scrolling on here and I'm seeing people protesting. And I'm like, okay, you know, we see the people showing out. I ain't seen too many black people, so I like that. Throughout all these protest videos that I'm seeing, I'm not seeing, you know, police force lined up. I'm not seeing police, period. I'm not seeing it. Out of all the clips I've seen on here and like little clips that I'm seeing my friends post on social media, I ain't seen no police. And I know that we all subconsciously know, or whether it's subconscious or we consciously know, that the police is not for minorities. The police are not here to protect us. It is just very apparent right now. Let this, if anything, serve as that like viewpoint that other people need to take a stand to get some things rolling, to get the ball rolling. Honestly, if I'm going to just talk, when they see black, brown, indigenous, when they see minority groups start to stand together and come together to support a common cause, they see it as such a threat because we know that we're going to get work done. We know we're going to incite that change. To be completely honest, yeah, I'm very appreciative. Like, yes, we should be protesting. Yes, people should be taking a stand. People should be standing at the front of the lines right now, at this point in time right now, because y'all need to speak up more than ever right now. It almost seems as if it's like they don't... Like, do you know what I mean? I don't really want to say it because I don't want it to seem like, oh, everyone's efforts are not, like, as important and everything like that. But the way I'm viewing it, the way I'm looking and seeing and putting things together in my head, I'm just like, you know, regardless, I think this needs to be a weekly thing that happens. Yeah, I know it's also big right now, but this needs to be a recurring thing so that people really understand how serious these people are. Okay, let's do it.
So let me get this straight. Some of you that went to these so-called protest marches on Saturday, April the 5th, were bored, and your children were bored, and you said they should have had a bouncy house or something like that, and you expected black people to go in to march with you when our people have been beaten, maimed, had dogs sicked on them, water hoses turned on them, been jailed, lost their livelihoods, lost limbs, and worse, for your performance on Saturday. There's a big delineation between resistance movements that my people participated in and these Broadway shows off Broadway, because they weren't even good, that you all do. And that's why we're not pulling up in droves to stand with you. Because whereas you can do all of that and not one police officer attacks you and you don't lose nothing, you don't have no skin in the game. When it comes to us, it will be violent. And we know that. We've seen it play again and again. This is a movie we've already seen, and we don't want to see the sequel. Tomato, tomato, tomato. We can't take you serious because you don't have any skin in the game. What are you really giving up here in your resistance? You gave up a little Saturday to stand around and perform and say you were bored. This woman really literally went online to rate the protest that she went to. But she would do it again.
You think that's how change happens? Revolution, that's not it. That's not it. But then you want to holler about, I didn't vote for this. You absolutely fucking did. And when you didn't vote for it, what did you do to counteract these things? Because these things been happening. This has been our reality since before the inception of this country. We have been oppressed in these systems. What have you done to dismantle them? What have you done to give resources to the people that are fucking old? We are old. Our people work these lands. Y'all would not have what you have if it weren't for our people. So what have you done of merit? Since y'all want to talk about meritocracy, where's the merit? There is none. Miss me with that bullshit.
So let me first apologize for taking a long time to respond to this message. I got really busy last night and really tired, and I just wanted to go to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. Please excuse the mess in the back. But I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna respond to it. And you should have hit the streets today. The ancestors would have. They didn't back down for nobody. This generation is back down. They stayed home, only a few did. A lot of us didn't.
Many of you already know that yesterday hands-off protest, majority of it was peaceful. And it has nothing to do because black people didn't show up to go protest, but it has something to do because white people did it. As most of you guys seen, that there was not that many police in attendance because there wasn't that many black people in attendance neither. We all know when black people come to protest, that's when the police come out. Police tend to get a little bit more aggressive when black people are in the picture, but they definitely treat white people a whole lot differently. You can sit here and lie to yourself all you want to, but I know and you know. Now this video isn't meant to be a race thing, but it just goes to show how police treat white people versus minorities. If minorities would have decided to come out and protest with everybody else, I guarantee you things would have been a whole lot different than what they was yesterday. The fact that we did decide to stay at home and let everybody else go out there and protest just shows that the job can still get done without us being present.
Why is there no coverage of the protests that took place on April 5th? There were protests that were taking place in all 50 states of the United States of America. All 50 states. Yet there was no coverage. We saw people going live. They were on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, TikTok Live, showing that the protests were happening. They indeed were happening. But why is there no media coverage on those protests? In the lives that I was seeing, that I was streaming, I saw that there were a lot of people out there. And surprise, surprise, there were a lot of white people and a lot of vets, right? And not only was I paying attention to who was in the crowd, I was paying attention to the police officers, to law enforcement, where they were, what they were doing, how did they look, how they were behaving, because I've witnessed, I've been a part of several protests, especially during the Black Lives Matter, and I know what law enforcement was looking like when it was, you understand, those type of protests back in 2020. So I was looking out in the videos, in the streams, looking to spot law enforcement, to see the barricades, to see law enforcement in fucking bulletproof vests with K9 dogs and batons and forcing and huddling everybody in one corner. I was looking out for that. But I didn't see it. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of the treatment that would have been out there, that we would have seen had a lot of black people been out there protesting alongside those white people and those veterans. And that leads me into my next point. The reason why there was no media coverage showing all of these protests that were happening simultaneously in all 50 states was because it would have to showcase that it was all white people
old people, veterans that were fighting, literally saying that Trump is ruining this country. See, they're not going to listen to me and you, black, brown. You understand when we say that Trump is literally ruining this country. This administration is going to ruin this country. But if they see Mima and Papa, you understand? They see their grandma, they see their veterans, their vets, their uncles, grandfathers, whoever, out there literally saying, I am a recovered MAGA supporter. Please do not support MAGA. If they were to see that in all 50 states, white people would have to think more. They would have to think more. And open up their minds and get woke, the very thing that they don't want them to do. But y'all do know for a fact that if it was black people that was out there alongside with them, that's the crazy thing about it. Even if they were there, like some of them were there as allies during the Black Lives Matter protests, even if they were there, as soon as we were alongside them, best believe law enforcement would have been out there in full force. They would have been out there in full force. And best believe sometime during this week, we would have gotten some announcement of martial law being enacted. I just wanted to put that out there. So for all the people who is like, why weren't black people protesting? It was out of safety. And it's because we knew if we wasn't there, that it would actually be a peaceful protest. And it's not even to say that they were peaceful. If you were listening to some of the shit that these people were saying, they was rowdy, okay? But they still was met with respect. The type of respect that black people would have never been given. We've never been given that opportunity. We've never been given that privilege. And this is why we as black people have to figure out another way to boycott and another way to protest. Because going out there in the streets is literally a death wish.
Did you notice yesterday for the protest, there was no police, there was no heavy armor, there was no dogs, there was no type of intimidation from the law? Did you notice that? I didn't really see minorities, a couple here and there, but when it seems like it's all minorities, it's police, it's dogs, it's heavy armor with shields and masks and smoke bombs. Did you notice that? Did you notice that the tables have turned? Or is it just me? Or did the whole world see this as a different type of protest?
I'm confused as for how y'all think the answer is not showing up, staying at home, saying, oh, we done our part by voting. Y'all realize this work that has to be done in between elections, right? You have to educate people as to what's going on.
So to answer your question, young man, we as a people have learned from 92%, which means we're out here by ourselves. Which also means that when they protest, there's not a lot of fire, shootings, smoke bombs, or gas bombs, spraying people. And we used our voice enough. Now it's time for us to regroup, redirect our energy, and understand what's the next move. It's about getting smarter, not out there working harder. The real question you should be asking yourself, where are the spiritual teachers and leaders of America? Why are they so silent? Does it remind you of the Pharisees and Sadducees of the day when Jesus walked the earth? They're so concerned about their temples, but not about the people. So I would rethink your spiritual journey and what church you're in and start getting in tune with the Christ consciousness within. That is how we change. That is how we reorganize this community. It's by reclaiming our internal sovereignty, stop looking outwardly change, and start changing within our community. Because when we change, everything around us change. And at an individualized expression of that, when I change, the things I look at change, which ultimately then they become different. They change.
Just wanted to say I saw more police following me while I was trying to take a walk around the block last Friday, late night, than I saw in every single one of those April 5th protests combined.
If you really want to know if racism is still alive and well, look at the police response to yesterday's protests and the protests of Black Lives Matter. That will tell you everything you need to know.
I want to see things get better, not only just for my people, black folks, working class people, whatever, but for everyone across the board. Everyone gets a fair share of the pie. So let me say that. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to say. All right, so why do I believe that we shouldn't go out, at least in mass numbers? If a few of us here and there go out to support, that's fine, but not in mass numbers. Why? Because we are always used, our bodies are always used as fodder for the police state, for the government, for other organizations who may not have the courage or the gumption to get out and put, in the way that we do. So I don't want to see our bodies, our images used as a means to enact martial law. That's what I don't want to see. If martial law is going to happen, and more than likely it probably will, they can't tie it with us. They can't pin it on us. Because if they do pin it on us, then not only do we lose, but we lose the little support that we still have left. Because now we're the face of the reason why this country enacted martial law. They always use us. They use our protests. They have saboteurs out there come out, wreck buildings, burn shit down, cause violence, whatever, and then they blame it on us as a group of people, as a collective. Trump is looking for that. Trump is waiting for that. That's the reason why Trump keeps goading us to get out there and hit the streets. That's the reason why there's this talk of pardoning Derek Chauvin. There's a reason why the Black Lives Matter plaza was taken down and was announced. There's a reason why there's this announcement of defunding of the Smithsonian Black History Museum, which is there's other museums that cater towards other groups like American Indians or Native Americans, and I think there's a Asian museum, if I'm not mistaken, that the Smithsonian runs. But there's no talk of like doing away with that or defunding that. But every time they come with these announcements that is specifically targeted for black people, you notice they can never do anything specifically targeted for black people that is good, but they would do specifically targeted black, things specifically targeted black people for bad. And every time they do that, it's instigation. They're instigating us to get out there and hit the streets. A lot of the stuff, such as like doing away with doing away with the executive order, the 1965 executive order that ended segregation and government contracts and stuff like that. Things like that, things like pardoning Derek Chauvin, issuing federal pardons, it doesn't really change anything. Fundamentally, it doesn't, because there are other things in place or whatever to, like, Derek Chauvin still has to face state charges. He won't go free. There's the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Civil Rights Act of 1968 that, still is in effect. So these things, these announcements don't necessarily have any teeth. They don't really do anything for real. But what they are designed to do is to get us angry and to get us out in the streets. And they want to blame us. They want us to be the face of violent protest and whatnot so that they can enact martial law. So this is the reason why I'm talking about staying at home. This is the reason why I urge people to stay at home. This has nothing to do with the election anymore. Nothing.
Listen, I know you mean well. And absolutely, you should leverage your privilege to protect Black and brown people. And really, you should do it all day, every day, not just in a protest. But that's not why we're here. I couldn't go to sleep without addressing this one line. We did this for you. God damn it. I was almost with you. I can't let that slide. Again, I know you mean well, but let's do some correction. The world is burning down. Well, at least the country. We are all, as an American community, experiencing the wrath of the Trump administration. Not just Black folk, not just Black women, not just brown folk, all of us. Inclusive of you, your mama, and your cousin too. So no, you did not protest for us. You protested because it's the right thing to do. Because he should have never been voted into office. Because he cannot make a complete sentence. And he is the leader of the free world. You protested because you need things to change. More importantly, you protested, I'm speaking about white people in general, because we wouldn't do it. Now, you ain't got to put that in your pipe and smoke it, but it's still a goddamn truth. Y'all tell me what you think.
Okay, I've been seeing a lot of videos about people's kind of disappointment that there wasn't a lot of police and law enforcement at protests. And I just want to speak on that a little bit. I feel like the unsaid thing about the collective voice is that it's not about Trump, truly. Like his team, himself, they're not going to wake up one day and be like, you're right. They don't care. More so, these collective acts of unity are a symbol to a lot of these people's close friends, their relatives, their coworkers, saying, this has gotten out of hand. And that is a conversation that needs to happen within their own communities, because the reason we're here is not because of one stroke of a crime, but it is the constant perpetuation of oppression to the point where now it's even affecting their own people group. So I wouldn't say it doesn't involve us, but that's a personal problem they're dealing with. They're trying to figure out.
It's late, but I want to talk about protests real quick. There's some people who look like me that really want to get out in the streets. I'm one of them. I want to get out in the streets, but I know I can't. People who look like me and a few who don't understand that us getting out and protesting is a cheat code for Trump to speed run us towards martial law. He wants us to defend ourselves and feel the need to fight back. He knows the harm he's causing, and he doesn't care. We don't want to be out in the front lines right now. We don't want to be police punching bags. But we're not just resting out of spite. Many of us are tired. Many of us feel hurt. Some of us feel betrayed by communities that act like they never cared about us. Even when we're saying that this doesn't feel safe for us, we're being told, now isn't the time to sit on the sidelines. We all need to get out and fight. But even in all that, our rest, Black people's rest, is helpful. Our rest buys us all time. Our representatives won't and don't know how to fight for us or themselves. And the longer it takes to enact martial law, the more time we have to build our communities, coordinate, prepare, and resist more effectively. I've seen a few people equating the Montgomery bus boycott to a protest. It wasn't a mere protest. The boycott itself took 381 days and nearly bankrupted Montgomery city lines. It was a coordinated, sustained economic withdrawal that eventually led to the desegregation of Montgomery's transit system, but not before they almost bankrupted the bus service. One of the definitions of insanity is repeatedly doing the same thing while expecting different results. We've done this before. We know that protests and marches only bring attention to an issue. I won't say that protests are useless, because they definitely have their place and their purpose. But throughout America's history, there have only been 3 things that were the cause or the solution to some of our biggest challenges. Those 3 things are votes, violence, and value. From the American Revolution to the end of an authoritarian administration No positive, substantial, binding change has ever occurred in this country unless it's been affected by votes, violence, or the value of a dollar. Look up any historic issue, and one of those three will be either the cause or its end. The purpose of a protest is to bring attention to an issue that needs to be addressed. There's no need for Black people to protest or march to bring awareness to our collective issues. Everyone on the planet is aware of what's happening here, and our leadership and representatives don't seem to care, or they're ineffective. And this tangerine tinted twat waffle wants us in the streets because he wants us in the fields. What we need is for everyone on the planet to do something that affects corporate and federal money, which will affect votes, which will hopefully prevent widespread or horrendous violence. Right now, Black people need to rest. So let us rest, so that we all can come back together and resist.
Before I change out of my PJs, I wanted to put my 2 cents in on this protest that happened yesterday. I've been watching all of the videos and then also the commentary about how it's pretty interesting how there's no police presence during that protest. And this goes back to my theory that we as people are powerful. When we're together, something happens and it changes the atmosphere we're around, and we're able to manifest and change our realities, which is why when we try to do the same thing, there's a lot of police presence because they're trying to keep us in a low vibrational state. Not only that, they energy harvest from us. So if there's a lot of us in mass and something happens where someone's unalived, they start releasing dogs on us, they start pepper spraying us, then we get angry and we get upset and we're distraught. They can still harvest that energy to manifest, to keep themselves in power. That blood that's spilled in those streets is another way of sacrificing to keep us in this reality that they want us to be in. So us not going out and giving them our energy, our time, sacrifices, they're trying so hard to get us to react. And what we need to continue to do is not give it to them. We need to continue to protest in other ways by not giving them our money. We just got to be creative. Because it's not lost to me that when we were doing those protests, they had people that pretended to riot and loot. And it wasn't us. They placed people there to cause that chaos and confusion. Same thing in our neighborhoods, how they have strategically made it so we're always in a low vibrational state and we're just in survival mode. So when we're hanging out and fighting amongst ourselves, whether it's crime or having these groups and then having these shootouts, like all that is orchestrated because they want to keep us from being together. Something about us being together, being one accord, vibrating high, it's something about that they try so hard to keep us away from. And like I said, I notice patterns. And the patterns that are not being said, I see patterns in things. And I also see patterns in things that aren't said. And one of the things that they keep trying to do is keep us fighting amongst each other and keeping us apart. Whether it's a family unit or friend, they try so hard to keep us distracted on the things that aren't important. We have to figure out a way to get around all of that. And I've made some videos on working on changing your reality, your mentality, and raising your frequency. Like I said, this is information I'm getting as I'm deconstructing Christianity. I'm deconstructing everything in my life and rebuilding everything. And I'm on this spiritual walk and my eyes are more open. I'm getting more downloads and I'm starting to share them more. But this is something I've noticed, right? Because it's so woven into the norms of society, that in order for us to literally break it apart, for us to for us to thrive, it has to be burned down. These government laws, music, movies, TV shows, news, it's all creating a narrative of who they want us to be. Not teaching the history properly of who we really are and where we really came from. All that is orchestrated to keep us in this reality where we feel hopeless. And like I said before, we're waking up. And I truly believe us Black women, we're the key. And they made it a point for us to be the least protected women, right? And for our men to not have a fighting chance. And the ones that make it out, they make it out. But God damn it, the struggles and hoops that they got to get through to make it, and then we're already against each other.
Did you know that yesterday's hands-off protests were peaceful, not because black people didn't show up, but because white people did? Hello, I'm Earl from CBU, Crackers Being Useful, and I want to get into this.
And
I've been
yes,
seeing
in
some
the
stuff
title
about
of
how
the video,
peaceful
I
the
put
protests were
Black
yesterday,
voices, but I decided to
and
put this
people are
clip in here
correlating
of this
that with the
white
fact that most
guy
black people
that he
stayed at home.
explained the
If
situation
anything,
of why
this
is no
proves
violence
how
when only
aggressive
white
the
people
police are
protest. He
with
explained it in a
black
way that I didn't
protesters.
really like it, so
That
I
has
decided
nothing
to
to
leave
do
him
with
towards
the
the end because
protesters
he really
that didn't show
understands
up. It has
the
everything to do
assignment.
with the protesters that did show up. It was peaceful because white people are treated differently by the police than black people. And another thing I want to add right here at the end is I'm seeing a lot of stuff from white folks talking about how we got to do something because they were raised white trash, they were raised poor, so on and so forth. I want you to stop for a second. If you've been telling yourself it's a black experience because you are white trash or raised poor, I need you to stop equating poverty with black people. Please. Y'all have a good day.
And yes, it is sad and I feel so bad. I found like few videos, there was people in tears when they see the difference between when black people or darker skinned people or brown people protest and what happened when white people protest, how the police react in a totally different way and how the protest ended up in a totally different way. And it was some people in tears in here. I didn't put it on the videos because the videos were too long. But and I didn't find a way to chop the video, to cut it off. But it is hard. It is hard. It's hard to to understand this. But I also wanted to let you know that it's not only just being on the streets, walking, protesting on the street is not the only way to protest. It is a lot of protests that can be done from home, okay, that is even more effective than what it is just to be walking on the street. It's just only make a plan, okay, that what you just want to change and what is the action plan to follow, okay. And I think like boycotting, okay, that's like the best way to protest. So just keep yourself strong, okay. I know many, you cannot even imagine, because I told you guys before that I'm a psychic and a medium. It is a lot more protests that are gonna come, and the majority of them is gonna be white people, okay. You just don't gonna see us on the street. MAGA people is gonna be the one protesting, and they are the ones that are gonna be doing the change. The MAGA, the ex-MAGA people, they are gonna be protesting the most, and they are gonna be the ones that are going to formulate the change. Sadly, it is a lot of difficult days for this nation of my choice, because I just told you guys that I'm from Venezuela. And I did protest there when the dictatorship, the Hugo Chavez got installed in the country. And then I just started to feel like my spiritual guidance was just telling me, you had to leave the country, you had to leave this country now. And I just did. And I just don't feel like right now, like I had to leave this country. I know that something is going to happen maybe between July and October. And situations are going to change. Things are going to change. This is a part of the process. America is living a big process right now of change. And trust me when I tell you, it's for the best. It is a light in the end of the tunnel. And things are not going to be put back together in the way they were. Things are going to be put back together in the best way is possible. America right now is going to a transformation. And when you go to a transformation, sometimes it's not easy, okay? We are not going in easy times or easy days for this country. But trust me, it is a light in the end of the tunnel. And all these things are going to happen for we can have a better country. Please don't forget giving a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps my channel to grow and it helps other people to find my content and my video. Thank you.